Got a call from one of the NCF guy regarding the issue of one elephant, sick elephant, which is standing for long on the bank of the river of Kaveri. Myself, Sanjeev and DFO, and we went along. We saw that mother elephant died. Calf was circling around his dead mother. So we decided to drag this calf away from the mother elephant because the subadult female, which went inside the woods, might turn back to defend this calf. At last, we moved the calf to the jeep. It was very tired actually. It was dehydrated for days. They took it immediately to Vandalusu. It is in rehabilitation center now.
Vehicular movement and irresponsible commuters passing through the national park have killed more animals than poaching or wanton killing. Part of Nagarole has a road which connects Hunsur to Kutta. We thought one of the ways to mitigate this issue was to basically paint the speed breakers throughout those parks. We then completed the whole stretch of the forest. Each hump was painted by volunteers. Because of this, the commuters started slowing down and road kills decreased drastically.
Ontikombu was a famous tusker in Bandipur. He used to hang around just a kilometer away from Male Kamanalli checkpost on NH 67. Once what happened, there was a couple going on the bike and they spotted Ontikombu. Just to have a closer look, they parked their bike, went near to the elephant. He got agitated and charged towards them. The couple, luckily, they escaped somehow by managing to jump inside a bush. But the elephant spotted the bike, took it in his trunk and started smashing it on the ground. Luckily, this time there was no human casualty. When human intervention is there in wilderness, there is no prediction of their behavior. These kind of interventions are not required at all, and this is what we try to achieve through our roadkill awareness campaign in Bandipur.
During one of our campaigns, there was this white Omni van which came zipping towards Kekanala checkpost, and we, our volunteers over there and the guards, we waved at him to stop. He just came and rammed into the checkpost and narrowly missed hitting two of our volunteers. So what we do is that the people who pass through the checkpost, we request them to stop, and we try to explain to them the simple rules like not stopping anywhere, not honking, not playing any music, not chucking any plastic around, not overspeeding, and we have pamphlets printed in 4 different languages. So depending on what language the driver understands, the respective volunteer makes them understand what we are trying to do here. A lot of them do appreciate. They have in fact come back to us saying that they would like to volunteer for these kind of initiatives. That I think is a good sign.
People in a reserve forest can be harvested for fruits, produces like tamarind, fishing, cattle grazing. Meligiri is the region that we are focusing as cans. This is a very precious, very important region. We need to protect that. To do that, we need more teeth in the form of sanctuary. But then there was no scientific thing to say why it needs to be a sanctuary. We said, all right, we will undertake biodiversity study. This is a rapid study. We go in groups. We are accompanied by a forest guard. So the grids are formed, the teams are spread out, and then the biodiversity study. The basic purpose is to start noting direct and indirect evidence of whatever we have seen. Like last time we saw samba, we saw 4-horned antelope, we saw spotted deer, some groups saw elephants, gaur. So this is a direct evidence. Then indirect evidence, a leopard pug mark, so that it's a kind of data that hopefully comes up strong and in support of our claims that this region needs to be protected as a sanctuary and not as just a reserve. In a sanctuary, the rule is let things as it is.
In the last 10 years, the amount of human-elephant conflict in this area has gone up by leaps and bounds. We have fields like this, which borders the jungle right behind me, and elephants frequently cross over from the jungle, come into the fields and raid crops overnight. It is a helpless situation both for the elephants as well as for the human beings. There are many theories about why this is happening. One is the jungle has deteriorated, they don't find enough food in the jungle. At the same time, the people who cultivate lands like this are extremely poor. They live a subsistence agriculture. They have to stay awake at nights and they have to guard the areas. Government has its own mechanism of working, and by the time the compensation reaches, it's already too late. We did try an experiment here. What is done is you collect dung that will burn and you mix chili into that and dry it. And these cakes are burnt and they smolder for about 5-6 hours. The smoke that comes out is very pungent. It is sufficient to keep the elephants away from the crops. This is called as chili bombs. There is one solution which has been tried in Africa called chili fencing. You have a rope coated with oil and chili and tobacco mixture. And since elephants have a very sensitive sense of smell, they are almost 300 times more sensitive to smells than human beings. It is sufficient to deter them from entering the fields. It requires a lot of maintenance, but it is an experiment we tried and hope that people will take up to it.
This is the first of its time. We conduct a synchronized census for tiger and other carnivores and the quality of the vegetation in this area. It starts today on 20th February and continues for another 6 days. And this national level census, here with the help of the Kenneth Naturalist Society, we go with their volunteers, nearly about 50 numbers, and our staff about 50 plus, and we use the technique of transect walk. The pugmark census is the technique used for understanding the tiger and panther presence here. It is an exposure for them, one thing, wilderness exposure. Another thing is it helps them to understand the area.
I am a part of BNG Birds, and I heard that CANS is organizing a tiger census in the Melagiri range. We did see a lot good sign of elephants. We definitely saw a scat from a leopard. Yeah, overall our experience has been good. It has helped us understand the kind of vegetation and the wildlife here.
We have started on butterfly gardens. It's not an enclosure as you see. Butterflies can get their nectar from various flowers. They need certain plants, certain leaves to perch on. But the most important factor is they need host variety of plants for laying eggs, and we have set up 100 varieties of plants that would be useful as nectar generating plants, as perching and as hosts where they can go and lay eggs. I'm sure we are going to be successful in establishing a butterfly paradise here at West End.
There is a story in one of Kenneth Anderson's books where he talks about a British collector who had a 300-acre farm in Bettamugalalam. And the interesting part of this story is that when the collector bought this farm, it was full of lantana just like this. And because of this, there were absolutely no animals there. He employed a lot of people to cut this lantana and get rid of it. As and when it grows, cut it and get rid of it. And after doing this for some time, apparently, he found that grass started to grow again. And because of that, a lot of herbivores started coming there, cheetahs started coming there, gaurs started coming there, sambar started coming there. And they were followed by wild dogs and leopards, and eventually even a tiger used to roam around in that 300 acre. The collector is gone, that was nearly about 100 years ago, but the lantana is still here. Something has to be done about that. And probably this can be an excellent source of income for people who live in jungles, who have absolutely no income to speak of. If somebody can be convinced to invest in the forestry operation of cutting lantana and removing it, it can provide employment for maybe thousands of villagers throughout the year. And if we have a sustained campaign, maybe we can see the last of lantana in our forests, and probably we will find that biodiversity coming back again.
The vision of Kenneth Anderson Nature Society is to conserve the forest of Melagiri Hills. You know, the individual reserve forest, we want to combine all of them together to form a huge wildlife sanctuary in the name of Kenneth Anderson. Ultimately, bring back all the animals which were there in those days of Kenneth Anderson back to the area. The next vision would be to create a huge center here wherein we can teach the young children about conservation, and it will be a nodal point for all conservation works of Bangalore and to take up the activity of conservation. And then, of course, we want to help the tribals to have a livelihood by teaching them some skills, providing them some herbal plants. That is the overall vision of Kenneth Anderson Nature Society.